Welcome back, welcome back, welcome back. Once again, it's your boy Abdul. Once again, thank you for joining me on the Grown Folks Podcast, and this is the Health Man Show. Today it is Mother's Day, so we're going to be talking something a little different. We're going to be talking about health, but not really that much. This video is on the power of motherhood. The power of motherhood. Okay, and I thought about this when I thought about this topic because it is Mother's Day, and we talk so much about nutrition, health, diseases, and things of that nature. But relationships also have an effect on health, and the power of motherhood has a direct effect on from the start, the day you was conceived, all the way up until you are an adult, basically. I really think the power of motherhood is really between two major ages, from conception to about teenage years. That is the true power of motherhood during those times. So we're going to talk about how it affects your health and all the other things, but also just the power of motherhood just in general, since it is Mother's Day. So the power of motherhood. Number one, it starts at conception. It starts at conception. And then why does it start at conception? Let's think about this. After you have sex and the baby is conceived, the baby now, that embryo now floats down to the uterus. The embryo now locks onto the uterus and it creates a sac, better known as the placenta. The placenta now is encasing that embryo as the embryo starts to become a fetus. Okay? So, from day one, the mother is feeding the child, the embryo. So, the mother is giving the embryo proper nutrition. So, it starts at conception, the power of motherhood. It starts at conception, the power of motherhood. The embryo goes down from the fallopian, to the uterus, and it binds. It doesn't go down, but it binds to the uterus, and that uterus now makes a placenta, and in that placenta, the baby is being fed proper nutrition. Starting from conception, the baby is already being fed by the mother properly. Now, if the mother is eating bad, then the baby is being fed bad food. But if the mother is eating properly, the baby will get proper nutrition. From start of conception, the baby is being fed properly. Also, the embryo or the baby or the fetus is also being fed positive or negative energy. Once again, the baby is being fed either positive or negative energy. So while the baby is inside the placenta, the baby is not only being fed nutrition, and even, let me tell you how the power of motherhood. Let me tell you how mothers even supply, even if you're not being fed properly, personally. The mother's eating bad. She's eating McDonald's and all crazy crap and eating sugars and all this other stuff. The placenta and the baby itself, the mother's body will take from it to give to the baby. So the mother's not getting enough calcium in the diet. The baby will actually take the calcium from the bones. The baby is not getting enough proper fats. The baby will take from the brain of the mother and the buttocks of the mother, get the proper fats. So the mother, no matter what, will feed the baby proper nutrition. Now, you can be optimal or you can be suboptimal. But the baby is going to try to get all the nutrition, okay, what it needs. The mother is also feeding the baby positive or negative energy. This is the importance of having a loving environment when you are pregnant. This is the importance of having a loving environment when you are pregnant. If you feed the baby negative energy, it will feed off of that and it will become a part of that baby. If you give yourself a loving environment and you're happy and your baby is being filled with joy, that baby will receive that joy when it comes out too. Okay? So feeding the child positive and negative energy is another important thing that the mother does in the womb, for the baby in the womb. Okay? And the mother, and just to reiterate, this is why it's important to have a loving environment when you conceive and you have a baby. Try not to bring the baby in the world in a stressful environment. It's not good for the baby. First and foremost, you're creating so much cortisol that actually negatively impacts the baby. Okay? That stress hormone negatively impacts the baby. So a mother is either going to be a positive influence or a negative influence. The power of motherhood. Understand this. And number 3 about conception, or while the baby is in the womb, the mother is the first protector. The mother is the first protector of the child. Okay? Think about it. One of the first things she does is put a sack around the baby so the baby can grow. She creates, her body naturally knows it's genetic. God has given this to her. She creates a placenta, a sac, a protective barrier around the baby. Then she has an umbilical cord to feed the baby. And the baby is growing in a fluid. It's growing in a fluid. It's growing in embryonic fluid. That is a protective measure for the baby. It prevents shock. Listen, if a mother falls, that baby is not necessarily damaged because of that embryonic fluid that's inside that womb, that's inside that placenta. It protects the baby. The mother is the first protector of the child. Okay? So we're talking about motherhood. And we're talking about the power of motherhood. Okay? Because it's Mother's Day. So I kind of want to talk about that. So the mother is the first protector of the child, even in the womb. So it's extremely important for the mother job while the baby is in the womb is to do 2 things. This is extremely important. The mother's job is to make sure she's giving her body proper nutrition. So the building blocks of the baby is given proper nutrition. The mother's job is to make sure she's getting proper nutrition so the baby can develop with the proper ingredients, if you want to say, proper ingredients. Number 2, the mother's job is to be a part of a loving environment when this baby is conceived. Because the baby will be fed the energy of the mother. If she's in a loving environment, the baby will be fed with positive energy. If she's in a negative environment, the baby will be fed with negative energy. And you will see the outcomes of that when the baby is born. Maybe more crying, maybe not as attentive, all those other things like that. May have more of an attitude. The personality of the baby is being changed and developed, but it has that negativity or it has that positivity. Okay, so that's number 1, the conception part of motherhood. Now, the baby is born, the birth of the child. This is the second stage of the power of motherhood. The mother gives the baby the best food of its life. When the baby is born, the mother gives the baby the best food of its life. Nothing in mankind is better than breast milk. When the baby is first born, the mother also gives the child his active immune system. She feeds him colostrum. The first milk of the mother is not even milk, it's colostrum. What is colostrum? Colostrum is a mixture of immunoglobulins and probiotics. Her first milk is feeding his gut with bacteria-friendly bacteria and supplying him with immunoglobulins, giving him or her her immune system, giving partially of the mother's immune system, getting the baby ready. Also, after colostrum, she feeds her baby or the family or her baby proper nutrition. Breast milk is the best. It is the most powerful food we know of. It gives them the proper fats. It gives them the proper sugars. It gives them the proper proteins, all for proper development. And if you are eating great, it's even better. So mothers give the best food for the child, and that is breast milk. It is the first line of defense for the child. We said mothers are the first protectors in the womb because they all automatically supply with a placenta, a sac that protects them. Think of you having like a seat belt in a car. I mean, what do you call that? An airbag. That's what the mother supply you as soon as you're born. And then when you come out, they say, okay, now we're going to give you a portion of my immune system to get you stimulated, to get ready for this environment out here. Okay? Now, not only do that, now the mother puts the baby on the breast. The baby has its first skin-to-skin contact. There is a study that shows how important skin-to-skin contact is for the development of the child. It is extremely important. They can actually see that the child secretes endorphins when the child has skin-to-skin contact with the mother. It has its first feel-good hormones when it touches its mother's skin. Okay? It has its first feel-good hormone. So you automatically give the child its first feeling outside of the womb of positivity. You give your child its first feeling of positivity outside the womb when your child touches your skin. Skin-to-skin contact. Okay? Secondary thing, or the third thing, is that you are your child's first love. The first love a child will ever feel is from the mother. And this is extremely important. The first love a child would ever feel comes from the mother. So, you've given the child the best food. The heck with superfoods. You worry about superfoods. The baby is getting the best superfood ever. Nothing is better. The baby is getting colostrum. The first thing you do is make sure his immune system or her immune system is up to par. You say, you know what? You coming out this womb, I surrounded you. Check this out. Let me give you the whole thing. Long as you're not getting a C-section, when you come out as the baby come out as the vaginal canal, the baby is surrounded and put on, all on the skin is probiotics and bacteria all on the skin as it passes through the vaginal canal. It goes into the mouth of the baby. It goes into the nose. It surrounds the whole baby with friendly bacteria and also bad bacteria too. Okay, let's keep it real. That is for the health of the skin. And that is for the health of the immune system. Instantly, as the baby's coming out, he's already being protected or she's being protected. As they come out, then you give the baby to suckle on the breast. The baby suckles on the breast and you give them the second line of defense. You give them colostrum. So the first line of defense is passing through the vaginal canal, and the baby's getting all his bacteria on them to protect the skin and also the oral cavity and everything else. Then secondary, the baby sucks on the breast and gets its secondary line of defense in the form of colostrum. That goes into the gut, now allows the baby to digest properly. It allows the immune system to start working more effectively, instantly. And at the same point of time that you have now gave the bacteria on the baby body, give the bacteria and probiotics in the mouth, give the immunoglobulins to protect them for the immune system and all them other things while the baby is suckling. At the same time, you're giving the baby its first feel good. The baby is eating And directly skin-to-skin contact, you're giving the baby its first emotional feel-good. That's the power of motherhood. Okay? The power of motherhood. All that in one clean swoop. You done 3 things in one clean swoop, and you just thought it was just nothing. Oh, I'm doing what I'm supposed to do. But you have activated something. Such a small thing, but such a big thing. It is so big that kids who do not pass through the vaginal canal are more likely to get sick. Okay, more likely to have allergies. Kids who do not have breast milk, or do not fed breast milk, actually score lower on tests. And you may say, oh, whoa. Why is that? Because like I told you, breast milk is nothing better for a child's development than breast milk. Nothing is better for a human development than breast milk. It has the perfect amount of fat, has the perfect amount of sugars, and it has the perfect amount of protein. Did you know you have more whey, you have a whey protein, a better protein? Like, you heard of casein. People say, well, I drink milk. Milk has casein and whey, right? Cow milk. Well, casein is a more dense protein than whey. But casein is excellent for building bone because the casein is excellent for building bone. Whey is also really good for building muscle and all them other things and things like that. But it's a lighter protein. You're not a cow. You don't need to build bone as fast. You're not trying to run as fast as a cow in the beginning. They got to get up and start walking instantly. You have to start moving and crawling. But guess what breast milk is rich in? Omega-3s and the other fats. Why is that? Because your brain requires it. And we're not just physical, we're thinkers. So nothing is more important than breast milk for a child. And that's what you do soon as the baby is born. You give them probiotics on their skin and their mouth. You give them colostrum in their mouth and then probiotics in their mouth. And then you also give them their first feel good by going skin-to-skin contact, and the baby falls in love with you at the same time. Come on now. I'm up here preaching the power of motherhood. Okay? So that's when the baby at the birth. Now let's go into a child from toddler to 12 years old. And I have a toddler to 12 years old because I think this time is other things is occurring. So from a toddler to 12 years old, these are the power of motherhood. Now, I want this to be understood. I'm not negating fathers. This is just focusing on motherhood because I believe fathers are extremely important. I'm going to give you all some. So in Islam, there's a hadith that says, heaven lies at the foot of the mother. Heaven lies at the foot of the mother. Prophet Muhammad said, I forgot, it was something. It was like, what's the most important? It was like your mother. And there was another thing. He said something. It was like your mother. Then they said something about it, and he said your mother. And then he said, the guy said something else. He said your father. I'm paraphrasing. It was basically how important, who is the most important. It was like your mother, and then there was some other thing. It was like your mother, and then the fourth thing was your father. So it was like, listen, your mother is that important. Your mother is extremely important. So I wish I can remember the hadith fully, but I'll get it for y'all. But it was basically said 3 times your mother, right? So let's talk about being a toddler to preteen. A mother is your very first teacher. The mother is the very first teacher. Good or bad. Because not all teachers are good. Good or bad, your mother is your first teacher. My mother taught me. My mother taught me. My father worked a lot, but my mother was there. My mother was my first teacher. The very first teacher was my mother. Mothers are the provider of culture. Mothers teach the culture. Okay? This is between toddlers and preteen. Your cultures develop in this time through your mother. Your mother will teach you about the foods. Your mother will teach you about the clothing most of the time. Your mother will teach you about the dance. Your mother teach you a little bit of the nuances of the culture. This is the job of the mother. The mother teaches and provides the culture. The men help establish the culture. The mothers pass it on. This is extremely important. I don't even want to say the men really provide the culture. The mothers pass it on. Women or mothers are the teachers of the culture, good or bad. Because you can teach ghettoism to your kids, you know? Or you could teach them better, to be better than that. You know, you could teach promoting education versus the dumb stuff. You know? Mothers at this stage also help shape the child's future. Think about it. If you are the first teacher of the child and you are teaching correctly, you're providing them with lessons of life as well as education, then you are slowly but surely helping to shape the child's future. You are slowly but surely helping to shape the child's future. A mother at this stage also helps his or her child development. And why is that? Because she praises the child's development in each stage. This is really overlooked. Oh, baby, oh, you're walking or you're crawling. Oh, my God. Wow, you just learned your first alphabet. Oh, wow, you're able to climb. Oh, these are stages of development. The mother is there and helps praise those stages of development. This is extremely important for walking, for first words, for crawling, to learning the alphabet, to doing times table, whatever it is, the mother is there to help praise that child, and that helps improve their development. This is the health man thing. So this is where your dietary habits are formed in this stage. Good or bad. This is where your dietary habits are formed. Good or bad in this stage. Let me tell you something. I'm going to use it as an example. My son has allergies. My 8-year-old has allergies. You know what he told me this morning? He said, Daddy, I need some fruit. I want to have a smoothie for breakfast. I said, why? He said, I have more mucus, and I know I need the fruit to help break it up. So I want a smoothie for breakfast. I swear to God. He has allergies. He knows if he consumes too many foods that cause him mucus, it will affect his allergies. It makes his allergies worse. He's learning that, hey, my allergies are acting up right now. He knows that his allergies are acting up. And since his allergies are acting up, he knows he needs to consume more fruits because he has more mucus. That's dietary habits that he's been taught. He's 8 years old, and he's slowly but surely being taught. He's understanding how to eat. How many people don't like eating vegetables because the kids of the parents necessarily didn't make them eat it? Or if they did, they fed them terrible tasting vegetables or whatever. This is the time in which you create your dietary habits. If you eat like your parents eat bad, you eat like your parents. If you grew up in only eating soul food, you're going to eat soul food mostly as an adult, unless you break it. Most people learn bad dietary habits in this age group. From toddler to preteen, they usually learn good or bad dietary habits. And that is usually taught through by the mother, because she's usually the one that's feeding the kids. So if you are tired and you want to stop and go get a burger for your kids, that's okay once in a while. But if you make it a habit, this is what they're going to assume they need to eat. Even when they're sick, even when they have health issues, as an adult, it's stuck in their brain that this is the food that they grew up eating. How many times have we looked back at the food we used to eat? Oh, man, I love this, I love that. And then when you get an adult, you're like, man, that's really not good for me. But these are the things that we were brought up to eat. We were brought up to eat. So you teach your dietary habits at this age. Mothers do that. Very powerful part of our livelihood is our dietary habits. And usually we get that through our mothers. I got that from my mother. My mother and father, they were vegetarian. I'm not necessarily vegetarian, but I'm plant-based, and that's because of the way I grew up. My wife didn't grow up the same way I grew up. She had to be her dietary habits changed because of me. But our kids' dietary habits are much better than her dietary habits growing up. And they are great, even compared sometimes, I think, to me. Sometimes I think I did a little better. But food was cheaper then, too. All right. And then mothers can provide adventures and activities for the kids. They provide them exposure. I can tell you right now, I don't plan nothing for the boys. My wife let me know what we're doing. We going to Florida? Well, listen, we're in the process. We still have one more trip to go. We're going somewhere in June. God bless, we going to Jamaica, right? She already in the process of making our 2024 activities for next year's summertime. What? For our trips. Planning out the activities and adventures. This is usually what mothers do. I don't know too many men who plan the family trips. I don't know too many men, unless you're a single father, plan the kids' activities. Or I may want them to run track. Or you may put them maybe in karate. Like I wanted my kids to do karate. But my wife takes care of most of that. I'm not around, I'm working. So the adventures or the activity or the extracurricular, the mothers usually help. This is important because this allows them exposure. And exposure helps with development. Okay, so that's toddler to preteen. And last but not least, the teenage years. And then we're going to take questions. Supportive growth into adulthood. Okay? Mothers at this time are more in a supportive role to adulthood. The kid is kind of on their own. They're starting to kind of figure out to do their own thing. And the mother is there in the background whispering. Whispering. Hey, I don't think you should do that. Oh, go with this way. That's the mother's job. She's now in more of a supportive role in their growth into adulthood. Or she can stifle a growth. Depending on the mother. She could be supportive of the child's growth, or she can stifle a child's growth and development during this time. If she's not a good, quote-unquote, good mother, if she's letting the kid run amok, do whatever they want, then she can actually stifle their growth, because a mother's job is to be supportive, but also help direct. You don't give them the way. You just help them kind of avoid some of those little hurdles. Maybe you should do this. You try your best. She also at this time has a watchful eye. Like I said, a supportive role, but it's very wise. She's a watchful eye at this stage. And she helps give life advice, especially to girls. Especially to girls. Now you may say, Abdul, why not to boys? Men make men. Men make men. And I believe women make women. This is my own personal belief. At this stage of their development into adulthood, I actually believe men are more important. Fatherhood takes over and takes the lead. I think fatherhood for young men starts earlier, and even for young women, is very important. But at this stage, it's almost like a certain time. In the beginning, it's all about the mother. But around like 8, 9, 10, it starts to switch a little bit, and it starts to become like, okay, fathers is becoming a little more important. Then around like 10, 12, 13, fathers become really important, like almost supersede the mother. Around 14, it's game on for the father. Because now there is, like, especially with young men, there is a testosterone start pumping. And now they start to test. And men direct, women supportive. We're not doing that, young man. You're going to do it like this, or we're going to have a problem. Well, women be like, well, some mothers, not all, but are more in a supportive role. Men will be more directive. You're doing this. It's going to go this way. This is what it is. Even in women, we're not going to have that here. It's more discipline there. Well, I think mothers at that stage become more in a supportive role. As before, they were more in the forefront. I think that is when the fathers shine. That's when fathers shine. Around a certain age, then fathers start to shine. It's like, okay, it's my turn. It's my turn to lead. And it's a reason why I'm leading at this stage, because they need more directive. You're going to support, but I need to make sure they're going in the direction I want them to go, to avoid all these other pitfalls. So that is my video. That is my talk for today. I would definitely like to open up the floor to hear what y'all have to say. So if you want to unmute everyone, that would be great. I would love to hear what y'all have to say about my point of view on the power of motherhood. Anybody have anything to say? I thought this was a different topic versus my usual topic, but this one I thought was I don't know. I just wanted to talk a little bit about motherhood.
Abdul,
talk to me.
Quick question, brother. Now, when my son was born, I was 30. All right, and well, let's just say that men, when they really care for the mothers, they like to partake of breast milk. Now, if a man is in his 30s, all right, can he get the same nutrients that a baby would get? I know it's good breast milk, but nutrition-wise, would it be good for a grown man also?
Well, listen, I'm a firm believer if you want to drink breast milk, my brother, drink the breast milk.
That's what I'm
drink the breast milk. But no, nutritionally, yes and no. Because, what a baby is drinking 2 to 3 ounces, 2 or 3 ounces at a time. 2 or 3 ounces for me and you is not enough. So breast milk is perfect for the size of the baby.
Right.
But it's not enough for me and you. The nutrition you'll still get. You'll still get the nutrition from it. The whey, the fats, the vitamins, the minerals, all that stuff is going to still give you. But how much are you getting? You're only getting a small amount. A baby only needs a small amount throughout the day. You know, if a baby may be drinking maybe, I don't know, 2 or 3 ounces every feeding, maybe 6 times a day. Maybe a baby is getting 16 to 20 ounces of liquid every day from the mother.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just giving an estimation, maybe less. You know, 16 to 20 ounces, maybe less. That's not enough for me and you. That's not enough.
That explains, Abdul, why my son's mother kept saying I was kind of greedy, you know. So I understand what you're saying.
Yeah, you don't want to be that greedy.
Mm-hmm.
You don't want to be that. That's for the child.
For the child, yeah. Thank
but
you,
if you do it right, so what the body will produce, the woman will produce more milk.
Mm-hmm.
More milk. So, you know, make sure she can feed you.
Right. Right. Thank you, Abdul.
No problem.
All right.
Abdul, please don't encourage him.
Listen.
I know it's very selfish.
I thought he was trying to help out the mother. He wasn't producing enough milk. So he's helping her out.
He's looking for nutrition every way he can get it.
That's right.
Y'all ever seen the movie? It was a movie back in the day called The Last Emperor. The Last Emperor of Japan. And he was a young child, like really, but for years, he was still suckling off the mother up until the child was like 7 or 8.
Mm-hmm.
He was still suckling off of his mother. You know, so just to, you know, I don't know if that will look. And I know, check this out. I know a woman. I would never say it. I know a woman, a white woman, who fed her child up until the child was like 5 or 6.
Mm-hmm.
I said,
that happens in Spanish culture a lot. They do that.
Yeah, that was new on me. I said 5 or 6. That's like not a baby. That's a kid sucking on you.
Now you know. Now you know. When that child can get up on you and pull it out, just
whip it out.
That don't make no sense. Enough already. Enough already.
But you know,
if you're in a position where you can't afford to, you know, buy food or whatever, and you continue to nurse, okay. But in modern society and in the economy where you can afford to buy food and milk, that's ridiculous.
You shouldn't be able to whip it out on a train.
That's right. That's for the mother's satisfaction, not the child's.
Oh, God. So I'm like I said, I thought of this one today. I was like, you know, I'm gonna talk a little bit about some of the things in motherhood. Like I believe that men have an intricate role in this too, but I just want to talk more about motherhood right now. But especially with male children around like 9, 10 years old, the father kind of like slowly but surely start taking over. He's like, okay. Even they're young, the men are there. Like, you know, I'm a lot in my son's life, you know, and I'm very active with my sons. But my wife still has a lot more role in there because she's there more. But as they get a little older, I can see my oldest son right now. Hey, boy, come with me. Hey, you know, come over here. I even talk to him a little more. Hey, this is going on. If he has a little issue in his class, the boys in his classes, hey, don't let them do that. This is what you got to, you know. So it's like little things that start happening. I see it now as he gets a little older. He's being more instrumental. And my oldest son now calls me for advice. You know, so that is so funny to see.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think this was spot on, Abdul. Thank you.
You're welcome. I try to do something different today.
It's unfortunate that we don't get this kind of instruction or enlightenment before conception. I'll say.
You know why? This is my point of view, and you tell me what you think about this. I think the culture of midwifery has not been passed down by women. And I think the breakdown of the family has caused that. Mm-hmm. I think the breakdown of the family. I think we have a lot of single mothers, and that does not allow this information to be passed down. So the breakdown of midwifery, those old school women, knew about a lot of, like the grandmothers, the great, they used to know, they used to talk to their children about this.
Right.
You know, I think that has been lost. That art of midwifery. Hey, you need to make sure you're doing this. You need to make sure you're doing. You need to make sure you're eating like this. Girl, you need to make sure you get enough sleep for this baby. Girl, you need to be praying. You need to be doing this. All those things that have been lost because the older generation haven't passed it down, or it was just a breakdown of the family. It's hard to deal with some of these things when you're worried about your day-to-day life because you're there by yourself and you're doing all this by yourself. It's harder. I can tell you, my wife can make a bigger investment in my sons because I'm around. But she can make more of an investment in my sons because I'm around. But if I'm not around, she's working all the time. How much investment can she do? We get to the point where the children, we think that we're doing our best by surviving.
Right.
And we do our best when we're thriving for our children. And a lot of times if we are in a single family household, we're basically surviving.
Yep.
That's just the point of view. Okay. Anybody have anything?
Good point of view. Good point of view.
I try.
Man.
What's going on?
All is well, grateful, thankful. Great show.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay. I guess today, are we closing early today? Are we closing the store early? Hey, listen, anybody in the East Orange area, on June 3rd, just to let y'all know, I'm plugging it, but I'm not plugging it. I'm plugging it because on June 3rd, we're going to have, at the store at Isle of May, we're going to have 20% off. It's a 100-year anniversary. So if anybody want to come out on June 3rd, we're going to have music, we're going to have vendors, we're going to be doing raffles and all other stuff. Y'all can come on out. 20% off everything in the store.
Come, Chip.
How do we become a vendor?
Come on.
No, vendors are not necessarily outside vendors. What I mean, that we like companies that we sell their products, their reps are coming in and they're going to be giving out, samples and things like that. Not necessarily a vendor, outside vendor who's going to be selling in the store. Yeah.
Well, yeah. Our community needs to be taken care of.
Understandable, but it doesn't. That's a different type of thing. That's a different because it doesn't.
I know you'll work it out.
No, because it's more of a store event, not necessarily whatchamacallit event. Like it's like a pop up.
Somebody come open the door.
Well, do you have pictures of the old store that was on Harrison Street?
You see your father's store?
I don't know if he does.
I don't know. He wasn't born yet.
Yeah, I probably wasn't. But the store, the two original owners was Olive and May. I do know a little history of the store is Olive, the two white women, Olive and May. But they sold it before the people that most people originally think of. That the people, like you said, on Harrison, before he bought it, they weren't the owners. The original owners sold it back in the 60s or something like that, or the 50s, the 60s.
Yeah, then she went to Halstead Street, and then they walked over there.
Yeah. So, they but the original owners were two sisters, Olive and May. They started back in 1923.
Yeah, she was 400 years old when I met her.
Abdul, the old white lady used to work in there. Did she work for them at one time before she passed?
Oh, I don't know. I don't know. I would have to ask John. But her name was Nancy. She worked in there. She worked in there for 50 or 60 years.
Yeah. She had a lot of good advice.
Yeah, but she may have met the original owners, but I don't know. The original Olive and May, the original woman, I know they didn't own it for like 50 or 60 years. I know that. They owned it, I think, up until like the 50s or 60s. Or like the 50s or something like that. And then it was bought out by the next group of owners, and they had that for years, and then John bought it out in the 80s. So that's what I know. So that's all. But that was the talk today of the power of motherhood and stuff like that. And I'm glad everybody tuned in and definitely enjoyed it. I said I may do something on the power of fatherhood when Father's Day come around. But fatherhood is different. fatherhood is nourishing. I mean, it's nurturing, but it's not as much. It's more directive, but it's also a good example is I seen a video and they was talking about the difference between fathers and mothers, right? Mothers, if a child is climbing the monkey bars, the mother's over underneath, like just making sure that the baby doesn't fall. Well, the father's pushing the baby to keep going further and further and further and explore more. The mother's there as a protector. The father there is the pusher, the motivator. Keep going, keep moving forward. So I thought that was a great example of the roles that mothers and fathers play. But they're extremely important because they work in conjunction with each other. So I thought that was very important.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Health man, this is Deborah. Thank you so much for the information. I enjoyed the segment. I did acknowledge your show coming on, and I was hoping some other people was coming on. You had some people that's interested in coming on from North Carolina, so you'll have some different people on from different places. And I also was looking forward to Forrest singing to the mothers tonight, as he promised.
Well, no, only if Ever came on, but he didn't come on. I was up here for a minute.
I don't know what's going on there.
Always next Sunday, Sister Deborah, you know that.
Don't be trying to back out of a promise.
Yes, he promised. It ain't had nothing to do with them. You asked them to come in. You already said yes.
If I told them I don't want to sing along, we're going to do a duo.
No, you have to keep your word for it.
It's called harmony, darling. Harmony. You have to understand.
That was that, but that's not what I asked for.
Oh, that's what you asked for. Oh, okay.
We put in a request, Miss Carol. Help me. He's not keeping his word.
Sorry.
Next Sunday.
Adrian was a witness on the podcast too.
Yeah, next Sunday. I heard your granddaughter throw Tupac up there for the mothers for that mother's song, Deborah. I was up there.
That's a great song.
Yeah, it is. It is.
He's to Miss Carol.
What song is that, Forrest?
It's called "Dear Mama" from Tupac. Dear Mama. That's a great song.
That was a good song.
It's a good song.
Yeah.
Forrest, do you know that song?
Nope, but I know when he sing it.
But Forrest, you did sing another song to us another night, so we can have a little bit of that. That was promised to us, mothers for Mother's Day.
Well, listen. I hope y'all have a good rest of your Mother's Day. I hope y'all.
I just had some popcorn. I can't sing now, so okay. Well.
I'm about to get off the call because I'm about to go watch a movie with the wife. She said, "Let's watch a movie tonight." So
have a good night, my brother.
All right, y'all. Y'all have a good one. I appreciate y'all tuning in tonight.